Alright, just when you guys thought it couldn't get any worse. I don't even know why I want a perfect Supra. I'd be scared to drive it.
We make the streams louder.
Alright guys, so this is what happens when you're away in another city and you get on Facebook Marketplace and you find a good deal on a pallet jack. So you stuff it in the wagon. Probably not the best thing I could have did, but I mean we got her home and I didn't want to come back and get the truck. So I've been needing a pallet jack. I've been borrowing the neighbors for, I don't know, a couple weeks now, and I always feel bad. He's like, don't worry about it, but I'll come get it when I need it. And I was like, I hate borrowing other people's things. I'd just rather have my own so I don't have to worry about it. Anyhow, so I got this thing. They were asking $100 for it. I got it for 50 bucks, but the wheels are kind of weird, so I'll show you that in a second. But I was letting this thing warm up to do the daily shop rips on this. This is gonna be a new daily segment, shop rips on the KLX. So now we're gonna go ahead and try to unload this guy, or unload it. We're starting this video off on my head today instead of in front of the camera, because if I get in front of the camera, then I'll start rambling. So I do apologize about this whole Supra thing. You know, I feel like I kind of overpromised and under-delivered, and I mean, there's not really any like end complete date, and I feel like that's kind of the problem with this. So there is a couple events that I did want to take this thing to in 2018, which the first being is the Pikes Peak airstrip attack here. It's in Colorado Springs, and I went to it last year with the drift car. You can see I still have my 156 number on there, and I believe I'd have to check the dates real quick. Alright, so here, if you guys could see that is the 2018 Pikes Peak airstrip attack. It is June 17th. So that is here in Colorado, and is put on, you know, by Shift Sector, Revolution.com, and the Colorado Springs Airport. Yeah, mark your calendars for June 16th and 17th. Okay, and so basically what that is, it's a half-mile side-by-side like trap speed competition. Kind of my initial thoughts for this whole car, I guess, to even begin with, was for it to be kind of like a clean, powerful Supra. Alright, so me and Dave have just been kind of going around the car looking at a couple things and kind of looking at the paint and seeing how much paint I have left and what I would have to actually do to almost just respray this whole thing. I don't know. We're kind of going back and forth and trying to decide like almost what I want as far as, do I want a perfect Supra? Do I want to take the time to actually go back through and like respray this thing? The only thing that kind of scares me about doing that is there's just gonna be so much material like on this car. I mean, there's already filler and primer and primer and primer and primer, and then, you know, there's the basically 3 coats of clear coat on it already. Like 3 coats of base coat, well, 1 coat of sealer, 2 coats of base coat, 3 coats of clear on it, and then I'm gonna basically do 2 more coats of base, another like 3 coats of clear. Like, that's a lot of material. Like, anybody in the auto body like world knows that like you're just like building up too much material on there. So this is one of the issues. This is right here. You probably really can't see it. Actually, this light's kind of fluttering, so it's kind of making it weird. But so if you could see, maybe we'll just turn that off. Yeah, so you can see like right there. There's like them dark spots, and that's basically where I touched the car when I was painting it. We'll go ahead and we'll stick this light back on there. But I have this quick check stuff right here, and this is basically simulates like a gloss finish, like you actually clear coat it, but it like just basically dries away. So then you clear coat that, and you look at it. You guys can't really see it. I mean, I would be upset with that. I wouldn't be okay to let this go. So if you guys look at this, well, it's really hard to pick up on camera, but I mean, it's definitely noticeable. It looks like a tiger stripe, or it almost looks like stretch marks for like candy paint. That's pretty much what that is. So yeah, it looks like this door is for sure getting resprayed. And then when I was peeling off some of the paint or peeling off the masking on one of the fenders, I ended up messing up one of them. I believe it was this right here. Yep. So you can see right there, I basically went down to like let the masking sit on it too long, and then when I peeled it, it just like the paint, it just built up enough film on it, and it just like peeled the paint because it was like still soft enough, but you know, it was like a couple days after I actually painted it. So technically, like, I'm gonna almost have to redo this fender. The other thing is, here, let me grab the quick check again. All right, and then so the other spots I was kind of talking about, basically like the dark spots on here with the actual clear coat. So basically, when you get like a dust, or it's almost like there was like lint in the booth. So it's not necessarily like me painting or my fault. It was kind of the booth and just not having like the proper setup or a clean enough booth, or you know, it was a cross draft booth, and then doing the candies, you can't really tack it, especially since this was basically the candy was in the clear coat, so you really couldn't tack it. So if you look right, where's it at? Dave, you wanna come shine the light? Where's it at? It's right there. Let me back up just a little. So you can see that. That's like a dark, basically a lint spot. So it's not super noticeable now, and then you go, where'd you go? Back up a little bit more. Right there. Okay. So now you could, I mean, in person you could see it a little bit more. I mean, it's so bright, like the color is so bright and like vibrant, and then you look at that and there's this little dark spot on it. And so that's, I don't know, I guess that's pretty much my reason for being so discouraged on this whole entire paint job. So I don't know. I mean, I don't really want to like use the booth again and have this happen. I also don't want to, you know, go through all of the trouble of, not really the trouble, because I don't know, you basically, almost where it's at right now is where it would stay to repaint it. So I mean, I guess that's not terrible, but there's a couple more things I'd have to do as far as prepping, which I don't know. I'd have to do all that stuff anyhow. But it's like, spend all the money to do it again, and then do I like put another $1,000 worth of material on it here in the shop, and risk getting stuff in here? Or at that point, do I just pay somebody to do it? You know, like actually, like the guy who we bought the giveaway car from, the S14, he had it painted a couple months before we bought it. And that thing straight out of the booth looked really, really clean. I mean, as far as like barely like any orange peel or anything like that. And I mean, they were in like I guess a really good downdraft paint booth. So if I could actually find somewhere to actually spray it for me, basically prep it, get it all up there, and then just be like, all right, here you go, here's the paint, and just go ahead and spray it in like a really nice booth, and then I'll just bring it back here and cut and buff it myself. That's another option. I mean, but then we're getting at that perfect super stage where, I don't know, we're just getting at that perfect super stage where it's expensive, and you don't want to touch it, and you don't want to look at it, and you don't want to work on cars around it, and you don't want to paint anything else in the shop until this is like completely done. And then technically, like, I don't really have like a spot to park it unless I like park my Saab outside at home, which I like parking in the garage at home. But I mean, maybe it would be worth it to have this in there, but decisions. All right, just when you guys thought it couldn't get any worse, it gets better. Another project. What do you think, Dave?
I don't know.
Whose project is that?
Mine.
It's David's project. How long? So, if you guys think I'm bad, how long have you had this, Dave?
2005.
2005. So, there's a lot of similarities between these two cars, and I guess the circumstances and kind of, I guess, what would you call it? Like where you get the stage in a project where you get and you're just like, screw this thing.
It's not like screw this thing. It's like you're in like such like a decision. You're like at a point of a decision that you're like, it's either like gonna be so drastic to fix it, or you can just keep on like keeping on and just like, who cares?
Just ignore it. Yeah. So yeah, David has had this thing since 2005. I first seen this thing So me and David, if you don't know, me and him actually used to ride the same bus. Our parents, my mom used to work with his dad, and so we've kind of known each other for like a long time. I was in middle school, he was in high school, but we rode the same bus because it was like a small town, and they like picked up and dropped off on like the other side of the highway where we both lived. So anyhow, I seen this thing, you know, after he graduated and stuff and was driving around. I seen this thing when I was actually riding the bus. I seen it all the time. Where he used to work, it was parked outside all the time, and I was like, what the hell is that thing? And so I ended up working for his dad, and you know, I kind of, you know, by that time I already had a 510. His dad used to have a 510. I knew about 240s, I knew about Ks, and so that's when I initially started talking to David. Was back then essentially, but so he had this thing painted at like a professional body shop, and this color is just like. What color is this? Or is it
It's like a Ford truck blue, like a, I don't know, 2005 or something like that.
I mean, that color is just, it's beautiful. But, so he had, I don't know, this car it's one of those cars that was like so legit before anybody even knew what legit was.
Yeah, so it was pretty much Sylvia front in 2005 with a like full aero kit.
Yeah, like the actual aero bumper,
Yeah.
You know, triple projectors, carbon fiber hood, a bunch of stuff. And so basically what happened with the front end, what happened with the front end? Why is it?
What happened was I had Tane flex coilovers on it when I had it painted. The whole thing, like, I guess the body shop thought that, and I didn't know they did it. They didn't like consult me or anything about it. They just went ahead and did it. But what I think happened was because I had it kind of set up for drifting, they thought the strut towers were like off, so they pulled the strut towers to compensate for the alignment being like not in spec.
And basically kind of.
So pretty much what it did was it just this strut tower is over like I think like half an inch, but you can really see it down here because this hole is supposed to be round, and it's definitely not round anymore.
Yeah, where it kind of tweaked it a
Yeah.
bit. So yeah,
yeah, I got to like the point where I was like. I was gonna fix it, and then like I was in my garage, and then we moved the shop, and then I don't know.
And then it basically sat in your garage for, well, because I've been in the shop for like 5 years, and so David's been basically working out of his garage for like over 5 years, and that was kind of the reason like initially we got the shop together so he could actually work on things. But you know, I don't know, it's just kind of in that state to where it's like he said, it's so drastic, and to actually go. There's other things about the car that you're going to fix, and then if like you want to fix, and then if you're going to do that, you might as well do this, and then it's like this big slippery slope thing. I mean, I pretty much just got really discouraged with the paint on this thing. I'm like, okay, well if I just send it how this is, you know, I'm like putting my name on it, and it has all these little imperfections that are going to drive me crazy. And then now to actually go through and fix it it's like another, I would say a solid, you know, at least 3 or 4 days of just like nothing but the Supra, and there's so much other random crap going on, which I know I could have probably like actually worked on the Supra instead of like the Saab. I could have done the Supra, but and then I don't know, it's like the Mustang and everything. So this isn't mine, this is David's. But yeah, I'll insert a couple pictures of what this thing like was back in its prime. But it like full like suspension, adjustable suspension. Like what exhaust is on there?
Tanabe medallion. It had I had the first set of valve and rear lower control arms.
Yeah, so it actually has like real lower control arms. My camera has the little.
Yeah, it doesn't have the coils on it right now. Obviously, it's just stock suspension, and it has a Nismo 2-way.
So basically, like if you were gonna spend money on legit parts, like that's what this thing.
I mean, back then there wasn't anything like you couldn't buy.
Yeah, there wasn't
Chinese like knockoff stuff. It was like either you bought Tane or you like had stock coilovers on lowering springs.
Yeah, or like suspension arms. It was like either battle version or nothing. Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's crazy that he's had this thing for so long. But eventually, it's gonna. What are your plans for it? You don't. You don't know.
So the plans. I want to fix it because I definitely want to drive it, but. It's either that 2J is going to be in it over there, or I'll put my fully built SR in it.
Yeah.
So.
It'd be.
But either way, it's going to have a CD09 in it. So.
Yeah.
Regardless.
But yeah, so I don't know. me and Dave, we've just been kind of going back. And so the reason that the 240 is here is basically Dave had like some storage issues and basically had to swap storage places and things. So that, like, this is basically kind of in limbo right now before it goes to its other, you know, resting place for a little while. So he's not going to be actively working on it, but it's been a long time since this thing's actually seen the light of day. And
at least a year.
Yeah, it's been a while. But even since then, like, everybody in Colorado that was like into drifting like knows like this 240 from back in the day. Like everybody like originally drifting, they're like Dave's 240, and they're like, what happened to that thing? It just fell off the face of the earth. But it's been just hiding in his garage. But yeah, like I said, basically just been kind of figuring out what in the hell like I'm gonna do with this thing. I'm gonna come back tomorrow, clean up the shop, get it a little bit more organized because I can't work in the clutter, and I'll actually probably start sanding on it and at least doing something to it. Alright guys, so back at the shop today, I've been kind of messing around, cleaning some other things up. Cleaned up this whole Jay-Z situation over here. Kind of put all that stuff kind of tucked over there for now. Got the oil pan ready to take to the actual machine shop or whatever, so they could actually hot tank it and clean it all up. David, I don't know what his plan is with this. He has like an Audi that like dropped valves or something, so he's working on that. I took the neighbor back their pallet dolly, and so I'm gonna start using mine now. But so this thing's kind of in the way. It's huge, and over here underneath this shelf I have like two Honda engines, basically D16. I think this is D16 Z6, and that's, I believe that one over there has a rod knock or something, so I should probably just get rid of that one with the green valve cover. And then this one is like a good builder, and it's a Z6, so it actually has the VTEC head and like the good crank and all that stuff. So I don't know, so I'm gonna go ahead and kind of clean out some of this stuff under here. I also have like a turbo 350 or turbo 400 like transmission from when I was gonna do like the turbo 6-liter in the Mustang. Anyhow, I might just list that thing for sale. List the tranny for sale, maybe even some of the Honda stuff. Honestly, I should probably just come down here one day and just list a bunch of things, and I should almost do that today. But anyhow, it's too distracting trying to work on things when there's so much clutter, especially if I'm going to be like kind of pulling all of this stuff off of here to get it painted again. So I guess that's kind of the first step. So, you know, sorry there hasn't been any work on this thing in this video yet. Maybe we will, maybe we won't. We'll see what happens. But I'm going to continue kind of cleaning up this area, getting some things kind of situated, and yeah, we'll just go from there. Alright guys, back at the shop. It's another day, and I'm kind of decided to pull out some of the parts and pieces and things and kind of go over and kind of assess what I need to do, which I guess I pretty much know what I need to do. Is I need to scuff it all and get it ready to respray. So I've just been kind of going back and forth, you know, about this whole process, and I guess why I'm so reluctant, or, you know, I think why I kind of quit work in the first place is just because it's like, even if I respray it's not going to be a guarantee that it's going to come out perfect. So, you know, it's like, do I respray the whole car? Like, because it could come out worse, you know, like because I don't think I'm going to use that booth again. I think I am just going to go ahead and spray it here in the shop. But yeah, I mean, there's just, you know, the cost factor of it, you know, it's not necessarily the money going back onto the car again to make it perfect. It's like, if I do that again and it messes up again, you know, or if I get dirt in it, or, I mean, literally, I feel like this is one of the hardest colors. Not the hardest thing I could have done, but a candy paint in general is a very hard color to paint. Yeah, I basically just got the whole car wiped down since it's kind of sat in the shop over, you know, the past couple months. I think literally I sprayed this thing October 20th. I didn't really realize that it had been that long, but, you know, I mean, I guess my concept of time has changed since, like, having a baby and, you know, a jillion other projects and random things that I've been getting myself into. But nonetheless, I'm going to pull out this front bumper and I guess kind of remind you guys how awesome this color looks in the sun. We barely have any sunlight left for today, so I'm going to go ahead and pull it out real quick. All right, so it looks all right in the right here until you get it in the sun, and then you're like, holy crap. Like, it's just such a rad color. I don't know, I hope this is doing it justice, but I don't know. I mean, it's such an awesome looking color. It's hard to say, are not like, see that little spot right there, like that little dark spot, like that's pretty much what, not as bad, but I don't know, the stuff they got in there was kind of like, you can see there's like another piece. You can't really even see it in the viewfinder, but yeah, little issues like that. You know, and that's pretty much why I want to respray it. I mean, if this was any other color, like if I just painted this Supra black, like I would have cut and buffed it and it would have looked flawless. I mean, I didn't really have any issues in the paint. I ran a little bit of the transparent clear coat on one of the side skirts and on the door handle, but I mean, other than that, the car doesn't have any runs on it. It pretty much is just an issue with like the things that landed in the paint. But anyhow, I'll probably go on a little rant at the end of this video. So actually, hold on, cancel this clip. Alright guys, so I guess I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna try to quit Alright guys, well I'm going to try to quit rambling, and I'm going to get to sanding this thing. But before I do that, I would like to extend like a huge shout out to 3M. They went ahead and sent me like a little care package, basically for working on the Supra. And primarily it consists of tons and tons of sandpaper. So as you guys know, there's been a lot of primer on here. There's been there's a lot of steps that it takes to really, I don't know, there's so many steps that it takes to actually get a car straight and smooth, and sandpaper is like, it's the only way. Like there's no way to do it. But anyhow, 3M sent me all this awesome sandpaper to kind of help me out a little bit. I reached out to them a couple months ago, and we've been kind of in talks about some things, and they just kind of sent me this as like a little starter pack, you know, kind of see what I do with it, see if they like what I do with it, see if it works together with them. So I appreciate that. I mean, I just think, you know, these are companies that, like Milwaukee, it's like companies that I've already worked with, or I already buy their products anyhow. And you know, so I send them an email and I'm like, hey, let's make this official. So I mean, if I get, you know, cheap or free sandpaper to work on all the projects, you know, that just means more videos. But yeah, pretty cool. Send me some masking tape. They have you know, a lot of this stuff is basically the stuff that you could get at like Walmart. One of the other things that I was pretty stoked about is they actually have, where'd it go? So they're coming out with their own like flap discs, which is really nice, because, you know, if you get like the Harbor Freight ones, they kind of suck. Yeah, and they have their own cutoff wheels too, and I'm pretty sure these are new, because I haven't actually seen these really anywhere. Yeah, so that's pretty stoked. Let me try out some of those things. And then this is like a rust preventer spray. So basically what this is you kind of stick it inside like the door jambs and stuff, basically where, I don't know, I'm not sure if this is the actual wax stuff, but yeah, so like inside the door panels and like, you know, stuff where I did like welding, like on the frame rail down there, basically you find like a little hole and you basically spray it in there. So I'll be using this this down the road. They also sent me some body filler, some fiberglass resin, some fiberglass mat, you know, some more aggressive grits of sandpaper for actually, you know, body work. Some spreaders, and like I said, pretty much all of this stuff is, I mean, it's essentially what I use all the time. I just buy the bigger cans of other stuff. I was using the 3M. They're actually like they're lightweight gold body filler, primarily on the Supra. But I mean, all of this stuff is pretty much what you could get at like O'Reilly's or AutoZone or Walmart, or, you know, basically your local auto parts store. So again, I appreciate 3M for sending me this stuff. So I'm gonna start. I'm gonna get to sanding. Alright, so what I do is I get like a little bucket of soapy water. This is like a sanding backing pad, just basically kind of like a little foam thing. This is kind of flexible because, you know, going around curves and stuff, depending on what you're doing, you use like a hard or a soft block, and you could go like longer or shorter. You know, on some panels of the car I was using a 9-inch block. But yeah, so I'm going to start off basically sanding this thing with 600. I mean, since I'm planning on respraying the whole car, I mean, 600 is just fine. Doing like 1,000 grit, that's good for like if you know you're gonna buff it. But since I am gonna respray it, 1,000 grit's kind of at that point to where you're like, you know, that's not really enough like tooth for the clear coat to actually like bite into it, or you know, the other base coats and stuff like that. So I'm just gonna go ahead and hit it with 600. These little blocks, I always basically kind of fold the paper in half, like more than once. And you could basically rip it. Uh-oh, I didn't do it enough. Yep, that's upset at me. Okay. So, and then normally you kind of let it soak in there for a couple minutes before you actually kind of get to work with it. So I'm gonna go ahead and put 2 pieces in there, just in case one gets a little bit dull. But I mean, the one thing I do like about the 3M is it seems to last quite a while. Kind of in a mad rush, I went ahead and I got some cheaper stuff from the auto parts store, this like Master Pro stuff. I don't know, it just didn't seem like it didn't seem like it like molded as easy. And I don't know, I mean, I was just used to 3M stuff, and I like the way it works. So I can't even tell you how many of these like 36 grit disc or like straight things we used on this guy. So while the sandpaper is kind of, I don't know, marinating over there, I'm going to take this opportunity to try some wheelies on the KLX. So if you guys are wondering what this thing is on my forehead, wherever that is, I basically bought these grips at the store the other day, and this one is really thick because it's a little bit thicker because it goes around the small end of the bar, whereas that one's a little bit thinner. And so basically I squeezed it and stuck it to my forehead, and basically gave myself a forehead hickey. But yeah, this is primarily why I wanted this bike, was so, you know, when I'm bored at the shop, you know, because I don't have anything to do, I get to ride wheelies. I'm not the best at wheelies, especially on little bikes. Big ones I can do pieces to stand up. Chilly out here. Oh, you guys are gonna be bitching at me like, I knew you shouldn't have got a pit bike because now you're not gonna get anything done. You might be right. Woo. There we go. That one wasn't bad. I don't want to chase him out. I want to be able to like keep him at the same speed and just kind of balance it. Right. Yep. All right. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed my pit bike wheelies. I know I did. I really enjoy having something like that to just kind of mess around with here at the shop. And honestly, you almost don't even need a big bike with like a fun little bike like that. So yeah, I guess I'm gonna go ahead and sand the hatch since it's off the car. I think that'll be easy for me to do. So I'm gonna go ahead and start doing that. So if you guys have one of these like new iPhones where you don't actually have the auxiliary cord in the bottom, like my sound system here at the shop is basically this little Logitech like computer thing, but I have this like $7 Bluetooth thing.
Power on. Connected.
Yeah, and then just you could bump. I think. Okay, there we go. Then I could pause it, and then I could start it over, and then I could leave it like this, and I could just turn it off. I could like turn the volume all the way down, and I could like film a clip, and then like as soon as it's off, I could just like crank up the volume, and then I got music again. So that's pretty rad. Link in the description. It's on my Amazon like affiliate link. So yeah, this sandpaper's nice and soft now. I'll just go ahead and kind of wrap it around the block here. If it would cooperate. Alright, here we go. So yeah, basically just give her the old scuff. Oh, you know what I need to do is I need to get the little rubber squeegee guy. Yeah, this feels good. I've only been working on the Supra again for 10 seconds and it feels good. Oh, the other reason why it needs resprayed is so we basically sat the edge of it down on the dill right there, and you could see that it chipped. So that's no good. Then as soon as you sand it, it goes through and doesn't look that good. And I don't know. The pursuit of a perfect Supra is like daunting. I don't even know why I want a perfect Supra. I'd be scared to drive it. I know I have a squeegee around here somewhere. Is it in here? No. Where you at? Where you at? There's a tiny one, I guess that'll work for what I'm doing. So the reason you use the squeegee is to see how far you need to go. So you can see, like right there, there's still like a little dark spot, if you guys could see that. Hopefully you guys can see that. I'll pull this off and kind of show you guys. So see, right there, as long as this thing's in focus, this is just a... So you can see it now, how there's like a little shiny spot. So as long as there's still little shiny spots, and this is how you take out orange peel too, is you just basically sand until you don't have any shiny spots anymore. All right, well, I'm gonna switch over. You guys are going over there, and I'm gonna bump some tunes. Alright, so that concludes, I guess, working on the Supra for this week. I'm doing some stuff this weekend, so I'm not going to have a chance to work on it until sometime next week, and then I might be going somewhere else. So yeah, I mean, at least I kind of touched it. I mean, now that I've actually kind of fully committed to sanding it, and I basically like sanded through in a couple spots, like it's getting painted. Like the whole thing's getting painted. David went ahead and he sanded this fender for me, and he found this weird spot. It was kind of like a pinhole looking thing, and it just like went forever. So he kind of sanded in there, and then so yeah, I don't know. I'm still kind of discouraged with this color specifically, just because I do not want this to happen again. So I almost thought about changing the color. So I don't know. Let me know what you guys think about that. Maybe we'll give you some options. I thought about like a gunmetal gray. The blue initially that I was talking about, which that's a candy color too, so maybe just not a candy color. Black, because you know, since I'm already making a clean Supra, it might as well be a clean black Supra that makes power, and it'll be like every other Supra on the internet. I don't know. What if I didn't do it this color? What color do you think it would be? Because like I said, I feel like at this point I don't want to go through this again, because at that, like, after that, I'm just like, I'm gonna be out. Like, I'm just gonna be like, screw this thing. Like, I don't want to deal with it. So I don't know what color. But anyhow, so this car is the other option I thought for a color was like the same color as the giveaway car, which I'll maybe insert like a picture of that here. But one of the things that I really did like about this whole thing was just how this engine bay turned out. I mean, it was a lot of work to kind of get it to where it's at, but I mean, I'm really stoked on the engine bay. The bad thing about changing the color is I would have to absolutely paint everything, which I pretty much have to paint everything anyhow, other than like probably the underneath of the hood, and then. But at that point, I'm probably just gonna paint the whole shell at once, like, so I don't have to mask everything off again, because that was a big pain in the butt. And then I'll do like the fenders and the doors and stuff separate, you know, and like the bumpers and stuff separate, and do them on like a different day. But yeah, that's kind of the getting to the plan. All right, well, it's time for a wheelie conversation, I guess, in the wheelchair. So yeah, I mean, I think the biggest issue that I've had, and kind of the reason that the Supra's been put on the back burner for so long, is just, I mean, just getting, like, doing all that work and doing all of, like, the stuff, and I felt like I was doing everything that I could to actually try and make it as close to perfect as I can. And then at, like, the last, you know, like, the final stretch of actually painting the thing, you know, something that was, like, kind of in my control, but kind of, like, just, I mean, paint is just the biggest... Like, it's the biggest bitch ever, like, no matter what. Like, anybody who's ever painted a car or does this for a living knows that, like, there's just finicky stuff, stupid things that happen with paint. And when you get to this point, like, there's nothing you could really do other than actually start over. And, you know, I kind of exhausted myself at that point, to where I was just like, okay, like, screw this thing. Like, I'm going to have to, like, go through this again. You know, and pretty much to, like, repaint the car, like, you have to sand... I don't know, it's not bad doing the panels, but you just have to like scuff absolutely everything around it, like, you know, the back sides of the fenders, not like underneath them, but like just all the little stuff that kind of, you know, gets in your head. I mean, if I were to actually just do it, like actually kind of how we did today, how we just did like a fender and the bumper and the rear hatch, like if I were to just like take it one piece at a time, like it would have been done by now. And it's really not that big of a deal to respray it. You know, like I said, that issue with the door over there, now there's, you know, there was already an issue with this fender. There was an issue with the rear bumper. There was an issue with the hatch. I mean, at that point, like, you might as well just respray the car. So, I mean, that's what's happening. Whether I'll change the color or not, I'm not 100% sure. The other thing I'm really still kind of up in the air about is, like, the engine swap, you know? I mean, when I initially got this thing going, I've kind of had like a big regret. I wish I would have left it kind of like the roadkill Supra, basically what it was when I got it, you know, the super crazy like rust and paint and dents and all that stuff. I feel like I would have just enjoyed the car a lot more at that point, especially now with all like the time and effort and money and everything that I've spent to make this thing, like the body like meticulously like clean and super. I mean, I forgot how like straight this thing is. Like, you look down the side of it, you know, when you like wipe it and it's wet, you're like, holy crap, that thing is like straight and smooth. And I mean, it's just insane how far it's come in that aspect. But you know, it's kind of turning into one of the things that I didn't want it to turn into, which is like a cream puff to where I don't want to drive it. And that's where I was almost willing to like just let the paint slide how it is. You know, and then always be willing to repaint it. But you know, at the same time, like, I really want this to be like a good representation of like what I can do. And yeah, so I wanna do it the right way. I wanna make it nice. There's not really a huge like deadline for this thing. You know, right now I'm kind of not sure what to do with it. If I should actually start on like the Mustang build, because I'm really hyped about that. And like putting a 2JZ in the Mustang and actually drifting that, because that's coming up quick. Whereas like the Supra, I would really like to have it done for SEMA and like have it at somebody's booth in SEMA. You know, if you know, some of the people that are working with me on this build, I do have a lot of parts that we'll talk about. kind of coming together for this thing, so that's awesome. I'm working with some pretty awesome companies and finally getting some support behind this build. And that's another reason too, is I've been kind of waiting, you know, for a couple of those things, but you know, you can't really push forward or get those people too hyped about things when it's still sitting, you know, in its basically still needs paint like stage. But yeah, I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Should I like just say screw the S14 for now? Like do a couple maintenance things to the screw the Mustang, do a couple maintenance things to the S14, get it ready for drift season, and then just kind of finish this thing and like get it going for the summer, and then just kind of plan on like building the Mustang like towards the end, like middle of summer, and not necessarily build it to compete this year, although that's what I really wanted to do. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. There's just, you know, part of me that I'm just so overwhelmed with the amount of projects, and then, you know, with having like the you know, the baby and the girlfriend in the house and everything. I've been trying to go home like a little bit earlier. Well, I mean, a lot earlier at night compared to what I used to be. I mean, I used to stay down here until I would basically start working at like 8 p.m. and stay here till, you know, 3 or 4 in the morning, and then I'd sleep till like noon or 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and then, you know, wake up, do some stuff with videos, and then like dick off in the afternoon, and then like come down here, and then like everybody, like nobody was here, like no stores or anything were open, or you know, everywhere was closed. Like there was the only thing I could do was like work on stuff, and that's when I got the most stuff done. So, you know, now being I pretty much wake up at 9 o'clock every day. You know, I'm usually try to be home by like 9 p.m. every night. But you know, I don't know. That's kind of an issue. There's just I get really distracted during the day. Like there's just too much stuff. Like, because if I end up going into town for something, it's like, oh well, then I need to run over here, and oh, I got to go do this, and then I might as well stop here, and then there's like everything is for sale during the day, and then I get on the damn auctions, and then Craigslist, and then it just turns into a mess. So appreciate you guys all sticking with me through this. We'll do something with this. I definitely want to get it painted, like resprayed within the month. Maybe, yeah, let's call it February. It is February. It's gonna be March.
What?
It's February right now.
Okay.
Yeah, it's February. Okay, so I want to have the car resprayed by the end of March. I got some traveling things I'm going to be doing this, you know, this month, so I'm not sure 100% how. Like, I don't know. That's the plan. I'm going to work towards it. But while we're on the topic of like projects and like discouragement, so just leave me a comment. Let me know like one of your projects, because I know you guys all have something sitting around, you know, like the fence, or, you know, a bicycle or a computer or something that needs worked on, or a car in your garage, or you have 10 cars in your garage. Let me know your projects. Let me see your projects. I have a Facebook group. It's Motion Auto TV Project City on Facebook. And that's kind of something I tried to set up as like a community for all you guys to basically go and like share your projects and show everybody, you know, kind of what you guys are working on, and kind of be like a community of like the Motion Auto like subscribers, and kind of sharing your guys' projects and ideas and things and stuff. So again, I do appreciate every one of you guys watching, and we'll get back to this thing shortly if the Mustang doesn't take priority.